Fia is an NPC in Elden Ring and has an important questline that is tied to one of the game's multiple endings. It involves Dee the Undead Hunter, his twin brother, Roger, Ronnie the Witch, and several unique rewards, all of which will be covered in this video. As usual, useful timestamps can be found in the video description. You can first meet Fia upon arrival to Round Table Hold. Let her embrace you and you'll get a Baldekin's Blessing. And quick tip, this blessing will reduce your vigor by 1 point until you use it, and you can find it in the consumable section of your inventory. To really start Fia's quest, you'll need to reach the Altus Plateau. You'll need to get both halves of the Dectus Medallion. One can be found at Fort Height in southeast Limgrave, and the other half can be found at Fort Feroth in Caelid. Once you have the complete medallion, take it to the Grand Lift of Dectus in northeastern Liurnia. You can get to it by traveling up along the west side of Liurnia Lake. After reaching the main Caria Manor Gate site of Grace, head east and use a stone spire bridge to cross over to the east side, then make your way north to the lift. You'll also need to meet Dee, Hunter of the Dead. You can first find him in Limgrave, a short distance northeast of the Summon Water Village outskirts site of Grace. Before continuing Fia's questline, I would recommend getting a death root from the Tibia Mariner at Summon Water Village, and showing it to Dee in order to get introduced to Garank, the Beast Clergyman. In any case, once you've fulfilled those two requirements, you can return to Fia's Embrace at Round Table Hold and select the Talk in Secret option. She should give you the Weathered Dagger in response and ask you to find its original owner. Speak with Dee and he should now be at Round Table Hold, and give him the Weathered Dagger to progress Fia's quest. Be warned that once you give Dee the dagger, it's only a matter of time before you will not be able to interact with him anymore. The next step of Fia's quest may not occur until you've obtained 2 of the Great Runes, and I recommend getting them from Godric the Grafted and Renala, Queen of the Full Moon, locations shown on screen. When you embrace Fia again at Round Table Hold, you should be able to go through some additional dialogue where she hints at the location of Black Knife Catacombs. I'll show the actual location of the catacombs on screen, which is in northeast Liurnia. There you can obtain the Black Knife print. To get to the boss with the knife print, you have to go to the room with these guillotine traps and ride one up to the floor above. Then run to the end of that area and hit a false wall to reveal the secret boss room. The knife print is actually important for Roger, and you'll need to go get it and give it to him before meeting Ronnie if you want to complete his questline successfully. However, it doesn't seem like the black knife print is necessary for completing Fia's questline, so that will be the extent of discussion on it in this video. It's possible that the knife print chat with Fia gets skipped over like it did for me. Either way, you should get to the next phase of her quest after reloading the game. She'll move to a new open room down the hall from the room she normally sits in, speak with her there, and she'll eventually fade away to her next location. You'll also get the Twinned Armor, which is Dee's armor set, and that'll come into play later on. For the final steps in Fia's quest, we'll need to make her way to Deeproot Depths, which is one of the subterranean locales in the Lands Between. We'll also need the Curse Mark of Death, which is only obtainable as part of Ronnie's questline. This ultimately means that we'll need to defeat Radahn in Caelid at Redmane Castle. A word of caution, following these next few steps will prevent you from completing Preceptor Celavis's questline. I'll put a link to a guide for that questline near the bottom of this video's description in case you wanted to do that first. You'll also be ending Roger's questline early and skipping several earlier steps in Ronnie's quest if you haven't already done them. All that being said, we'll assume you've made your way over to the festival grounds at Redmane Castle, and it's quickest to take the teleporter near the impassable Great Bridge site of Grace. You can initiate the battle by speaking with Jaren after using the Grand Lift of Dectus, and then you'll just need to defeat Radahn. And I'll say this much, there are many ways to defeat Radahn, but most involve having a Vigor stat of 40 or higher. However you manage it, after defeating Radahn you can travel to the Fort Height West site of Grace and then head northwest to descend into a newly created crater in the ground. Going down this path will eventually lead you into Nokron, the Eternal City. I'll move my cursor on the map across the general path you'll need to take to reach the Ancestral Woods Site of Grace. From there, make your way into the Knight's Sacred Ground. As a quick bonus, the Mimic Tear Ashes are actually located in the east corner of this structure. You'll eventually arrive at the Knight's Sacred Ground Site of Grace. From there, you'll need to travel a short distance northeast to find the Fingerslayer Blade. Head over to Ranni's Rise and give her the Fingerslayer Blade. In response, she'll give you the inverted statue. You'll need to take it to the Carrion Study Hall in Eastern Liurnia. Inside, you can mount it on a pedestal, which will cause the study hall to change in dramatic fashion. Make your way through the reoriented structure and you'll emerge at the Liurnia Tower Bridge, leading straight to the Divine Tower. You'll have to defeat one more minor boss before reaching the Divine Tower, where you'll find the Curse Mark of Death. With that in hand, we can return to the Ancestral Woods Site of Grace and make our way towards the Seofra Aqueduct. You'll find it to the northeast, past some jellyfish and cleverly tucked behind a ledge. From this Site of Grace, you'll need to make your way through the Seofra Aqueduct and face off against two gargoyles at the Great Waterfall Basin. You might also consider making a brief stop by a sitting NPC near the boss room door. It's Dee's brother and you can give him the twinned armor set you got off of Dee. From reading about other people's experiences with this quest, it seems like it doesn't really affect the end result of Fia's quest if you give Dee's brother the armor now or later. And personally, I just gave him the armor the first time I passed by. After you manage to defeat the two gargoyles, you can rest at the Site of Grace nearby, then take a one-way ride in a coffin by the waterfall to Deep Root Depths. Upon arrival, mount up and travel west until reaching the Deep Root Depths Site of Grace. From there, travel northwest along the waterfall edge and then scale up the giant tree branches up towards the Site of Grace across the roots. Head into the giant arena to face off with Fia's champions. After defeating them, rest at the Site of Grace that appears and locate Fia nearby. Allow her to embrace you and give her the Curse Mark of Death when prompted. Completing this step will get you the Radiant Baldaquin's Blessing. Now I had a little trouble with this next part where I thought I spoke through all of her dialogue and she still wasn't going into the final phase of her quest. Eventually, I went back and embraced her again, and she finally went on to the next phase. I think you may need to just talk in secret, rest/reload the area, and talk in secret again, and just do that a couple times until she starts the dialogue with,
"This is goodbye, my dear."
After that dialogue, when you reload the area, you'll find her asleep. I also saw a person saying that you have to use the Radiant Baldekin's Blessing in order to progress the quest, but that's simply not true, at least it wasn't for me. Anyways, when you find Fia sleeping, you can interact with her to initiate a final boss battle. Overcoming that challenge will reward you with the Mending Rune of the Death Prince, which can be used after defeating the final boss to get the Age of Duskborn ending. You will also get a remembrance that can be exchanged for one of two powerful incantations. It's Fortisax's Lightning Spear and Death Lightning, both of which require a high faith stat to use. Finally, if you gave Dee's twin brother the twinned armor set before completing Fia's quest, or at any point after, you can return to Fia's final location to find Dee's brother engaged in some Order zealotry. You can kill him if you want, but personally I just rested at the Site of Grace after talking through his dialogue. Doing either will get you the twinned armor set back, along with an additional item, the Inseparable Sword, which is a faith-based greatsword that has the Sacred Blade skill built in. You'll also get Fia's hood and robes. Unfortunately, the final item from Fia's armor set is forever out of reach. And I think that's about it for Fia's questline. If you're still having trouble with this quest, you can reach out in the comments section where I'll do my best to help. I also recommend checking the comment I have pinned, as I will update it with information about specific problems people are having and potential solutions. I'm currently working on guides for all the major quests in Elden Ring. If you want to find those, you can head over to my channel, and if you're new, consider subscribing. You're helping me feed my cat. Her name's Marshmallow. Have a great day. If you're here today, have a great Tuesday. And as always, thanks for watching.